8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The Prime Minister instructs the relevant officials to complete all housing and construction projects where funds are allocated before the end of this year. The Czech and Egypt ambassadors commend the government on the vaccination drive implemented throughout the island and for the systematically and safe opening up of the country. New COVID prevention guidelines issued. 20 new deaths recorded in Sri Lanka. First 1,000 days of a newborn child is important for the child care period. Public Security Minister Dr. Sarath Weerasekara says that there is a 98% drop in underworld activities in the society. Malaysia, Sri Lanka to enhance cooperation in digitalization and education. 13-hour water cut in parts of Colombo tomorrow. In news overseas, suicide attack hits Kandahar Mosque during prayers. And in sports news, Steve Bruce says he tried to keep his respect and dignity following Newcastle's takeover. Those were the headlines, and now more to the details of the local news. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa instructed the relevant officials of the urban development and housing construction to complete all housing and construction projects where the funds are allocated before the end of this year. The Premier also stated that it is better to make use of the allocated funds for the betterment of the general public rather than returning those funds to the Treasury. The Premier made these remarks while addressing a meeting to focus on the second progressive report on the State Ministry for Garbage Disposal and Community Cleaning process held at Temple Trees today. The Premier also advised the officials to carry out housing projects based on the funds available with the ministry. The non-resident ambassador of the Czech Republic to Sri Lanka, Milan Havroka, and the ambassador to Egypt to Sri Lanka, Husseini El Sahati, made the farewell calls on Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa this week before completing their tenure as ambassadors to Sri Lanka. Ambassador Havroka expressed gratitude for all the support received during his tenure, while Ambassador El Harati told the Prime Minister that he is very grateful for the hospitality and kindness. Both ambassadors briefed the Prime Minister on the work that has been completed during their tenures. Ambassador Havoka has served as a non-resident ambassador based in New Delhi for 6 years, while Ambassador Sahati has served Sri Lanka for 4 years. Both diplomats commended the government on the vaccination drive implemented throughout the island and for systematically and safely opening up the country. They said there is a great deal of interest among the tourists from their respective countries to undertake visits to Sri Lanka. Opening up the country in this manner with proper health protocols, they said, will instill confidence among the tourists looking forward to visit Sri Lanka. The Director General of Health Services has issued new preventive guidelines in a bid to further prevent the spread of COVID-19 virus within the country. The government's effort to keep the pandemic situation under control have shown positive results. However, there is still a significant increase in the transmission of the virus, Dr. Asela Gunawardana said in his communique. Accordingly, new guidelines, which will be in effect until the 31st of October, were issued to be followed by the public. As per the guidelines, cinemas will be open only with 25% of the total capacity. Meanwhile, weddings will be permitted with a maximum of 50 guests indoors and 75 outdoor. Non-COVID funerals will be allowed to be held with 20 people at any given time. The total number of people who died of COVID-19 infection in Sri Lanka moved up as 20 more fatalities were confirmed by the Director General of Health Services yesterday. The new development has pushed the official death toll from the virus outbreak in the country to 13,449. The latest victims include 11 males and 9 females, the Department of Government Information said. According to the official data, 14 deaths were reported among the elderly people aged above 60 years. In addition, 5 people aged between 30 to 59 years and 1 female below the age of 30 have also succumbed to the virus infection. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. Public Security Minister Dr. Sarath Weerasekara says that there is a 98% drop in the underworld activities in the society. It was observed that around 80 underworld groups operated during the period 1980 to 2005. However, there is only 4 groups at present, and those groups are not seen very much in the society. Some of these members have been killed during internal clashes in the past. Some of the members have gone into hiding in foreign countries. The minister revealed this information based on the report released by the Criminal Investigation Unit of the police headquarters. High Commissioner of Malaysia to Colombo, Tang Yang Thai, paid a courtesy call on Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Pieris at the Foreign Ministry. While recalling the close and friendly bilateral ties between Sri Lanka and Malaysia, Foreign Minister and the High Commissioner discussed further avenues to enhance cooperation between the two countries in the post-COVID-19 era. The Commissioner expressed his strong desire to reenact partnership in several areas, including the restoration of air connectivity to its fullest capacity and to facilitate strong people-to-people interaction between the two countries. Foreign Minister Pieris, underlining strong bilateral partnership between the two countries, emphasized the need to build further collaborations in the areas that are beneficial to both countries. Minister Pieris highly commended the enormous progress that Malaysia has recorded in the field of digitalization. He identified digitalization as an area the government intends to achieve rapid progress over several key areas in the public sector, including administration, court proceedings, education, and health. The minister expressed Sri Lanka's desire to look at the experiences of Malaysia in this field and adopt certain aspects as per the needs of the country. The water supply for parts of Colombo will be suspended for 13 hours from 8 p.m. tomorrow. Colombo 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13 areas will be affected by this water cut, according to the National Water Supply and Drainage Board. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. The Prime Minister instructs the relevant officials to complete all housing and construction projects where funds are allocated before the end of this year. The Czech and Egypt ambassadors commended the government on the vaccination drive implemented throughout the island and for systematically and safely opening up the country. New COVID prevention guidelines issued. 20 new deaths recorded in Sri Lanka. First 1,000 days of a newborn child is important for the childcare period. Public Security Minister Dr. Sarath Weerasekara says there is a 98% drop in the underworld activities in the society. Malaysia, Sri Lanka to enhance cooperation in the digitalization and education fields. 13-hour water cut in parts of Colombo tomorrow. And that was the local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddha Lepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddha Lepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddha Lepa Veda Mahatmya.
The main news story for tonight, lecturer of the Rajarati University, Professor Dhuminda Gurge, says that the first 1,000 days of a newborn child is important. This period is identified as the most active period for a child. Therefore, the parents should take extra care of their child during this period. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddha Lepa Veda Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddha Lepa.
And now in Watchlight.
And in Watchlight, specialist Dr. Varuna Gunathilaka says that it is important for the post-COVID symptomatic patients to have physical and mental rest for a few days. The patients who show symptoms even after 4 weeks of COVID infection should take this precaution, the doctor added. Dr. Varuna Gunathilaka made these remarks at a media conference held recently at the Health Promotion Bureau. He also advised such patients not to spend much on unnecessary medicines and medications for this purpose. And that came to you in Watchlight.
World News.
The headlines of the world news: suicide attack hits Kandahar mosque during prayers. The police say mob beats Kenyan child serial killer to death. New Zealand city parts ways with its wizard. Those were the headlines, and now more to the details of the world news. More than 30 people were killed and dozens more injured after blasts tore through the Shia mosque during Friday prayers in the Afghan city of Kandahar. Pictures from inside the Bibi Fatima mosque show shattered windows and bodies lying on the ground while other worshippers tried to help. The BBC has been told it was a suicide bombing. A local reporter quoted by the Reuters news agency said eyewitnesses described 3 suicide attackers. One reportedly detonated his device at the door of the mosque, with 2 more setting off theirs inside the building. A mob in Western Kenya has killed a self-confessed serial killer who escaped from custody 2 days ago, the police say. Mastin Wanjala, aged 20, was traced by villagers in a house in Bungoma town and beaten to death, they say. The authorities had launched a massive manhunt for the fugitive, who admitted to killing more than 10 young boys during a 5-year period. He has also confessed to drug them and, in some cases, drinking their blood. The New Zealand city of Christchurch has cast its official wizard from the payroll after 23 years of service. Ian Brankbury Channel, aged 88, was paid $11,280 a year to provide acts of wizardry and also to promote the city. However, the city has now ended his contract, saying it is going in a more modern and diverse direction. Christchurch is the only city to have had an official wizard since 1982, the City Council's website says. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Suicide attack hits Kandahar mosque during prayers. The police say mob beats Kenyan child serial killer to death. New Zealand city parts ways with its wizard. And that was the world news.
And now in development news.
In development news, the Ministry of Housing says around 60,000 houses will be built by the year 2024, out of which 40,000 houses will be built for the low-income earning families. The remaining 20,000 houses will be allocated to the middle-income families. In parallel to this project, a further 10,000 houses will be built, focusing 100 houses in every town area. And that was the development news.
Sports news.
Moving on to sports news, in soccer, Steve Bruce says that he has tried to keep his respect and dignity following Newcastle's takeover, and there have been no discussions on his future. Today, the new part owner, Amanda Stevenley, confirmed Bruce will stay in charge for the Newcastle's Premier League game against Tottenham on Sunday. Stevenley said Bruce, who will celebrate his 1000th game as a manager, will be the first to know if things change. Bruce admitted that preparations for the game have not been easy. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency through NSB U Trust for 6 months consecutively. Send more money and increase the chances of winning.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, Sri Lanka's leading eye care specialist with over 100 years of expertise reopened its newly refurbished Vellavatha branch recently. Centrally located at number 17 Gold Road, Vellavatha, Colombo 6, the branch was ceremoniously declared open by Rajiv Rajapaksa, Managing Director of Eric Rajapaksa Opticians, and Radhika Francis, Business Head of Esila Lanka Private Limited, in a simple ceremony that was held in keeping with the COVID-19 health guidelines given by the authorities. The convenient location of the Vellavatha branch provides Eric Rajapaksa Opticians customers easy access to their wide range of products and services in a modern showroom with ample parking facilities. And that was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News, Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners.
Moving on to economic news, the Sri Lankan economy is making headway despite the pandemic-related disruptions, and with the gradual return to normalcy, Governor of the Central Bank Ajith Niwad Cabral told the Monetary Policy Review press briefing yesterday. After phasing out the COVID-19-related lockdowns measures, along with the successful rollout of the C-19 vaccination program and growth-supportive policy measures, the momentum of economic activity is expected to sustain in the period ahead. The Sri Lankan economy witnessed a long and a strong recovery during the second quarter of 2021, recording a real growth of 12.3% year-on-year, following the growth of 4.3% year-on-year in the first quarter of the year 2021. That is economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather report.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the western, Sabarkamur, central and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Uva province and in the Ampara and Batticaloa districts during the afternoon or night. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. Meanwhile, the International Weather Forecast website AccuWeather.com reports that the day's weather was observed to be bright with occasional showers. Today's daytime temperature was around 29 degrees Celsius. There will be light showers in many places in the Colombo district in the night. Tonight's temperature will be around 27 degrees Celsius and there will be scattered showers in selected spots late in the night. The ground temperature would be around 26 degrees Celsius at the time of this news broadcast. The Air Quality Index, AQI, is 23, which shows fair condition in Colombo. The air quality is generally acceptable for most individuals. However, the sensitive groups may experience minor to moderate symptoms for long-term exposure. That was the weather report, and before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. The Prime Minister instructs the relevant officials to complete all housing and construction projects where funds are allocated before the end of this year. The Czech and Egypt ambassadors commend the government on the vaccination drive implemented throughout the island and for the systematically and safe opening up of the country. New COVID prevention guidelines issued. 20 new deaths recorded in Sri Lanka. The first 1,000 days of a newborn child is important for childcare period. Public Security Minister Dr. Sarath Veerasekara says that there is a 98% drop in the underworld activities in the society. Malaysia, Sri Lanka to enhance cooperation in digitalization and education. 30-hour water cut in parts of Colombo tomorrow. In news overseas, suicide attack hits Kandahar Mosque during prayers. And in sports news, Steve Bruce says he tried to keep his respect and dignity following Newcastle's takeover.